Howdy, Halo fans. Welcome to another episode of the Heaty Halo Hot Take Hoedown. I am Vince the Angels Cowboy. With me, as always, Fernando the Lone Star Halo, who will be coming up pretty soon. Today, there's going to be a lot of talk about the trade deadline. We are literally 1 week away from the trade deadline. And the biggest question for today's Hot Take, are the Angels going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers? We'll find out coming up after this.
Texas plains, hot takes flying, riding off the reins. Lone Star, Halo, Cowboy Vince, calling it bold, never on the fence. Hold down time, turn it up loud. Hot takes are ringing, drawing a crowd. No matter how wild, no matter how strange, ain't no limit on the takes we say.
Hey, howdy, hey, how about we talk some trades today? My name is Fernando, the Lone Star Halo. Vince did a good job at the top introducing the show. Of course, before we get into it, give us a 5-star review, tell your friends and family about the show, tell them what we do around these here parts. Let us know how we're doing with those reviews as well. Follow us on all the social medias at Halos in the Infield. While you're out, give our buddy Vince the Angels Cowboy a follow at Angels_Cowboy on the socials. Thank you to our sponsor, 714 Tickets. Use code HITI, H-I-T-I, at checkout. Head on over to Brewline. Mention Halos in the Infield for drink specials. The OC Dugout is always doing some fun events. Make sure you check out their website. Also, tell them that Halos in the Infield sent you. And then, of course, Max Market Pros. We'll talk a little bit about them later, but also mention that Halos in the Infield sent you as well. Now, normally we kind of talk about the series that was, and that's how we get things started. But right now, we are the first show going into trade deadline week. At the time you guys are hearing this, we are 6 days away from the deadline. Right now, where Vince and I sit, we are exactly 1 week away. The first raindrop fell, Vince. It was Josh Naylor going to the dreaded Seattle Mariners. I hate to say it, but what a good move for Seattle. A great move for them. Josh Naylor is quickly becoming one of the premier first basemen in Major League Baseball. He is a free agent after this year, so he is a rental. But for a team like Seattle, they didn't have to give up much to get him. They gave up like 2 prospects, and I don't think either of them were like top 10 prospects. But man, oh man, what a shot. And what a way to get the trade deadline week started. This is typically around the time where you start to see those moves taking place, about 7 days prior. I think this weekend you're going to see a lot more. It seems like everyone's kind of always in a standoff. Everyone's always kind of waiting for the first person to shoot. You have your old school, old saloon kind of, hey, don't reach for that pistol, pal. One of those kind of standoffs. And the second someone reaches, everyone else starts shooting. So Seattle's definitely kicking off with a bang, taking one of the better names available this year. How do you feel about that trade for Seattle?
You know what? To be honest, I think it might be a steal for the Diamondbacks because the Diamondbacks they have a good farm system. That's not obviously top 10. I think it's like maybe top 15, top 20. But they have a future that they can easily build on, and especially since they have Corbin Carroll for that long-term deal. And then, of course, they have Corbin Burns, who, has Tommy John surgery, but he's obviously going to be the franchise arm right now. Zach Gallen is probably going to be the second. If he does stay in Arizona, it looks like that's the case because he's not having the contract year that we expected, at least that I expected. In fact, he's disappointing me in fantasy right now, and I picked him for a reason because it was a walk year for him. It's his contract year, and a lot of players, when they get to their contract year, they have the best year of their career because they want to get the bag, and that's what I thought. Getting Zach Gallen in fantasy would help a lot. Not the case. So don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he does stay in Arizona. Maybe he struggled on purpose so he can stay in Arizona. I don't know. It's kind of a shot in the dark, but there's something to throw out there. Some guys, sometimes they kind of do that. It's like, I want to stay here, but I don't want to get too good in a way. But I think Yeah, Taylor Ward's doing it right now, almost. But I think it's going to be a good trade for Seattle for at least this season for the next 2 months, because obviously, like you just said, he's a rental. Is he going to stay in Seattle? I don't think so. I think he's going to go somewhere where he's going to get paid a lot. Maybe the Yankees would be a choice because the short porch will help him a lot because he is a home run hitter. But the question is, what's Paul Goldschmidt going to do? So there's so many things that can come into mind for sure between those two guys. But it could be a little bit of a balance. It could go both ways, both for Arizona and for Seattle. But I think Arizona did the right thing, letting go of Josh Naylor. They really don't need him. The Diamondbacks did come in as a favorite to take the third wild card spot in the National League. And it looks like they're not feeling it, and it makes sense because their bullpen is weak. They got the bottom of the barrel bullpen next to us for sure, and that bullpen is not going to last in the postseason. So no matter how many times that their offense sparks it up, if that offense carries them into the playoffs, they need to depend on that offense to carry them through the entire postseason. But guess what? Yeah, your offense can carry you, but your bullpen still has to help out. Look at us in 2002. We didn't have the best bullpen in the league. Yeah, our entire pitching staff was ranked third in ERA in the entire majors, but our offense was number one in average in the entire league. So the offense literally carried us through the postseason and the World Series. And case in point, it was true because how many starting pitchers got wins in the 4 games we won in the World Series? It was just John Lackey in game 7. Everybody else, all the other wins were, well, except Ramon Ortiz. Ramon Ortiz won game 3. Game 2 was Francisco Rodriguez. Game 6 was, I believe, Brendan Donnelly. And game 7, of course, was John Lackey. So only one starter had a win, a qualified win in the World Series. So that goes to show the offense really helped us. It's not going to be the case for Arizona. So at the end of the day, Seattle, they're going to be – that was the hole that they had. They have the pitching. They have the bullpen. But their just offense just doesn't contribute a lot. They're depending on Cal Raleigh. Now guess what? The workload is off of Raleigh, and Josh Naylor can pick some of it up unless Julio Rodriguez comes into play in the dog days of summer and in September baseball when everything starts going crazy. But yeah, it's a crazy start to this trade deadline already for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Josh Naylor was one of the bigger names that were in theory available. It's not too big of a surprise that Arizona is going to be sellers. I mean, they're just in a tough competitive division. I mean, there was a time there where it seemed like all 4 teams were going to be competitive, right? Well, people thought it was going to be a 3-dog race, right? Everyone knew the Dodgers were going to win the division. And who knows, even that's starting to look a little sketchy right now. I mean, the Dodgers always figure it out. I hate giving them credit, but, I'm sure they're still going to win the division. I wouldn't panic if I was a Dodger fan. San Diego's always is a fun team. They're always a competitive team. The Giants kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, they're always the Giants aren't always one side of the spectrum or the other. They're either very, very good and very competitive, or they're just not competitive at all. There was a year, what year was it, where they beat the Dodgers to win the division just kind of out of nowhere. No one expected it.
2021.
2021. There you go. Yeah, that was the year that the Braves won the World Series.
Yeah, and that year for the Giants, everyone talks about how were they? They had no superstars. Yeah, they had Buster Posey, but Buster Posey was aging. They just played the game right. They just did basic baseball, and they just went out there and just had fun. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, you know what? You don't always need stars. You just don't. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need a good group of guys who have good chemistry, who want to win, who want to play together, and just want to compete together. So, and that was that team because honestly, besides Buster Posey, I don't know how many other guys I'd be able to name on that 2021 Giants team.
The 2 Brandons, Crawford and Belt for sure. And then Yaz was just like up and coming to be like, he was like the star for the year. And then he's kind of tailing off a little bit, but that happens a lot in baseball. You have 1 good year, 2 good years, and then you're basically above average or average for the rest of your career. You just have that one. Yeah, you have David Fletcher. There's a lot of them out there, and then they just fall off like out of nowhere. I mean, it's hard. Baseball's the hardest sport to stay consistent, and it's like you got to adjust the pitches, you got to do this, you got to do that. Yeah, so it makes sense what Yaz went through in his career for sure.
Yeah, I feel like the Angels have had a lot of those guys who are just kind of like average here. I mean, Johnny Giavotella, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a name where, in 10, 15 years, there's going to be a trivia question. People are going to be like, Dad, who's Johnny Giavotella? And it's going to make that Vince McMahon meme where he's like crying. He's like, cut it.
Yeah.
He's like, cut the camera. So we mentioned Josh Naylor. We mentioned the trade deadline. And like I said at the top of the show, normally we will kind of preview, talk about the series that was. Honestly, the Mets series was a disaster. There's really no point of talking about it because what the bigger thing that it does is push the Angels a little farther towards the reality of what their situation is. So, Vince, do you mind reading the hot take, and then we'll just kind of snowball from there?
Yeah, because we're already here. So the hot take of the week is the Angels will be buyers at the deadline. Now, I want to look at both aspects. So let's look at what we just said, buyers. What would make them buyers? To me, it's the next two series that are coming up, the Seattle series and the Texas series. Division opponents. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Divisional games are more important than any of the other games because it helps you with tiebreakers and it helps you get up in the division in games and anything else. So that's super, super key. This weekend especially because Seattle, we have to face their three of their top four pitchers basically. You got Logan Gilbert on Sunday, which he loves pitching against us, especially in Anaheim. For some reason, we don't face him in Seattle, but when he comes to Anaheim, it's like his favorite place. I think the weather helps him out a little bit. He probably likes the warmth, and that's what kickstarts him a bit. And then you have Brian Wu, who's going to pitch on Friday. And then on Saturday, you have George Kirby. George Kirby loves pitching against us too. Last time he faced us, he had 7 innings shut out. So those are key right there. And that's going to define where we are going to be. Figuratively speaking, we take the series in against Seattle. Then we go against Texas. We take that series. Then that's when the whole talks of being buyers because you just won divisional games. Let's just say winning the series, you take you lose one game each series. So that's do the math really quick. 3, 4. I'm sorry, I'm not mathing right now. But let's just
what is that? 7?
It's 7 games.
This is a 4-game series. Next one's a 2-game series. A 3
no, it's a 3. Okay. So therefore, it'd be 5-2. Make sure I'm correct.
Yeah. 5.
Was that right?
Yeah, because it'd be 3 from this series, 2 from the next series. You would have lost 1 game on each. So yeah. 5.
Yeah. Sorry, people. It's just if I had it in front of me, I'd get it on a dime. But yeah, let's just say we take 5-2 these next games. Then that's when the whole push of we should buy because the playoff push starts kicking in. We just beat opponents, and it ones up a few games against ups a few games against in the standings, and of course in the wild card too. That's key as well. I think right now we're pushing for a wild card, but it'd be nice to push for a little bit closer spots in the division, even though we're not going to get close to the division, but it just looks good. So if we win these series, like I said, that's when you take in consideration because then push it. Just go for it. The issue with that, though, what do you have to buy? What money do you have that's able to buy that product that you need, basically? You're basically trying to get something that you don't have. Do we have the prospects? No. Because if anything, we would have to sacrifice our top prospects. If we were to get lower prospects, nobody's going to take them. They're going to give us the discounted players, at least the ones that are on the contract years that aren't producing as well. We'll probably, and the risk that you have is the debacle of 2023, because for some reason there is some slight curse that we have where whoever comes here, they're not the same. Lucas Giolito is a perfect example. Reynaldo Lopez is a good example. That just to name a few. CJ Cron, Randall Grichuk. when they
Soler so far.
Soler so far has been the best one. But for some reason, whenever like trade deadlines, everyone just falters for some reason. I don't know if it's like the way that they're being coached. I don't know if it's the different change of scenery. Who knows what? So that's the risk you take. You're just hoping that if you do buy, that there are some teams out there that are going to give you that are willing to take your like low grade prospects that you have, your bottom of the barrel play like prospects, you could say, somewhere that some like not the non-top 10 prospects. That's what you're hoping for. But I don't think a lot of teams are going to go for that. If anything, they're probably going to ask Perry, do you have any major league ready prospects? Because that's what we're looking at right now. And if anything, because, or maybe they'll have the patience to say, oh yeah, we'll take a kid who's going to get ready in about 5 years because we'll develop them pretty well. So like what high school kids do you have that we can pick up? So that's the buying aspect. Now the seller aspect, I'll get to that later because I want to hear why you would say buyers. I know you're not for this. We talked about this off camera, but let's just say, figuratively speaking, we do buy. What would you say, Fernando?
Yeah, so before I like really dive into like what we could use as trade chips to buy, I will say this. This was complete clickbait. You know, Vince and I both do not think we should buy. But hey, you know, you have a podcast, it's all about generating clicks and opinions, right? So that's why we pitched it the way we did. But yeah, you know what? Let's play devil's advocate for a second, right? Let's pretend the Angels are going to buy. There are various things, and buying. This is all perspective. Buyers and sellers is all perspective. Here, at the end of the day, the Angels are most likely going to, in some way, shape, or form, stand pat to some degree, right? That's what they do best. That is the Angels special. Yeah, they'll make a move or two, and I guarantee you, the Angels are going to make some trades. They might not be the big splashes that people are hoping. They're not the big splashes, I'm guessing, that necessarily we even want. But Angels are going to make some form of moves. Now, the only thing that I could really see them buying that, in my opinion, makes sense, a long-term young outfielder, you know, a guy who is a 4A type guy. Let's just say, for instance, Mickey Moniak, what he was a couple years ago, kind of a failure, change of scenery guy with the Phillies. I don't know why I wanted to say Pittsburgh Pirates. The Phillies, you know, former number 1 overall pick, came over here. That is my guess as to who the Angels might pursue in terms of an outfield guy. Because here's the thing. You have Trout in right field, and I mean, he's not going to be there forever, right? He is very quickly going to become a full-time DH. We all know it's coming. So besides that, you have Joe Adell, who I think has earned himself a spot, bearing anything really bad happening, has probably earned him a spot next year, right? So in theory, you have maybe Trout and right. You probably have Adell in center. And then who do you have in left field for next year? You still technically have Soler for another year after this, but he's not doing that great this year. So, you know, is he a DFA candidate over the offseason? Who knows? How he finishes the year is going to tell us a lot. And then you technically have Taylor Ward for next year, which will be the last year on his contract if you don't extend him. You know, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about Taylor Ward later. But the point is, after that, you have guys in the minors who you're hoping are going to make it, right? Matthew Lugo is one of those guys who's probably the big name. Nelson Rada, you know, those are two guys that could play outfield. Lugo is probably more of an infielder, but, you know, he can play the outfield. There's probably some people saying Kyron Paris. Look at his minor league numbers right now. He's not too hot. So we'll see if he ends up, you know, materializing in the outfield. The point is, we don't have a lot of sexy names out there for the long haul. So I could maybe see the Angels adding in that regard, you know, and I think that would be smart. And the other thing is bullpen arms. This is a bullpen that not only is struggling this year, but is going to be struggling for the coming years. Just because we don't have a lot of obvious guys who are going to be able to come out of our bullpen. We don't even have a lot of like high leverage guys who I see getting to that to that peak quickly. You know, Sam Bachman has yet to kind of prove that he can stay at that sustainable level. We obviously have the other guys that we keep calling up. Neris has been doing all right. And obviously, Kenley Jensen's a free agent after this year.
Neris is gone, by the way.
Was that?
Neris is gone.
Who am I thinking?
Fermin.
Was that?
I think Fermin.
Fermin.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, he's been doing fine. But then after that, you have Ben Joyce, who next year you're hoping is going to be okay post surgery, and you know that can always go either way. So the point is, there just isn't any fixtures in the bullpen, and we really haven't had too many guys over the last couple years that have been homegrown fixtures in the bullpen. Obviously Detmers is doing great, but I mean, I don't know if he's going to stay in the bullpen forever. So the point is, I mean, right now the bullpen's kind of our biggest weakness. I think you would agree with that. And that could be a way to improve this year and next year. Get 2-3 guys who you can trade for. I mean, I've said many times, like the Ty Buttrey type guys who maybe in their home organization aren't going to get a lot of reps out of the bullpen, but we can bring those guys in who are still young, controllable, and give them an opportunity here to help our bullpen out for years to come. That's what you need. You need guys like that because that's going to help you in 2025, 2026, 2027. And that makes sense. It makes sense to trade for guys like that. There's a lot of people who are like, well, we need starting pitching. I don't think we need starting pitching. You know, I mean, you've had 4 decent starting pitchers so far this year, right? Kikuchi, Taylor Anderson's kind of Kyle Hendricks has kind of come into his own a little bit. He's been doing fine as of late. And obviously, Soriano has 2 or 3 great stretches. And he just has 1 stinker, which I could take that for a young guy who's still trying to figure it out. Jack Kohanowitz is in the minors right now, but you would assume he's probably going to come back. And if not, you still have Clausen, you still have Dana. You have these other guys who are bubble-type guys, right? They're going to be ready soon. Sam Aldergetty is the same kind of thing. So, you know, you have guys who to come out of the rotation for the foreseeable year, 2 years. But that bullpen, Vince, is just the biggest Achilles heel. And if there's any justification for them to be buyers at all, outfield and bullpen are the only ways that I can see that happening. Because you and I lie on the similar side, but if we're playing devil's advocate, we want the Eagles to buy. That's the only thing I'd be comfortable with, where I wouldn't lose sleep over.
Yeah, totally, 100%. Because those are our weaknesses right now, and we're slim in the outfield for sure. And of course, the bullpen is, well, I mean, every single time, every game we played, we bite our nails during the bullpen. It's pretty much simple. When the bullpen comes out, what are they going to do? Or like, what's going to happen? It's very predictable almost. So yeah, if we're going to buy, you hit it for sure. Bullpen and outfield is definitely what we have to look for. Now let's flip it to the other side. What we both agree with. We have to sell. It's simple. I mean, we've been saying this for the entire year. The first half is basically going to define who, not where we are this season by the deadline. The first half define who we're going to give up based off who we signed. So far, the expiring contracts are for sure going to be the high picks to get traded away. Let's take a look at each one of them. Yoan Moncada. There's going to be teams. Yeah, he's pretty injury prone this season, but there are going to be teams who are looking for a left-handed bat, better yet, a switch hitting bat, because he's a switch hitter. People forget about that. They think he's a lefty because he hits lefty majority of the time, but he is a switch hitter. So that's a valuable piece that a lot of teams are going to be looking into. Who's a guy that is going to help us on the offensive side? And better yet, he doesn't even have to be a third baseman. He could DH. He could also play second, too, because he started his career as a second baseman. So you have a multi-position player that could basically help your team during a playoff run, during August, during September. And his bat is pretty valuable. So I would for sure circle him as top players to trade, and we could get a decent return. I'm not saying we're going to get top 5 prospects out of him. We'll probably get a top 10 or a top 15. That's what I'm looking at right now for Yohan Moncada. Second player, Chris Taylor. Now, it's kind of odd to say this because Chris Taylor, of course, is coming off an injury. But there are teams out there who want his postseason bat because he has been a valuable piece in the postseason. If you looked at his numbers of the Dodgers, he's had a better career in October than he has in the regular season. Keep in mind, he's also versatile. Plays second, plays third, plays short, can play the entire outfield. A lot of teams would definitely want a utility player in their lineup, and he's one guy to do that. Somebody needs a rest, guess what? Chris can take over. The second baseman needs a rest, there's Chris. Shortstop needs a rest, there's Chris. Outfield, whoever. So I would consider Chris Taylor as a trade piece too. Avoid like the whole DFA thing. I don't think he probably would be a DFA type of player, but why waste that type when you could have easily traded him for a couple decent prospects? Not the best, but decent. Another player. He's not an expiring contract, but I think it's definitely the biggest thing. Oh, wait, I take it back. Expiring contract, Tyler Anderson. Yeah, Tyler Anderson's have a bad season, in my opinion. His ERA is above 4. But the thing is, he has had some quality starts on our team. The problem is the bullpen lets him down. You put him on a staff with a dominant bullpen, guess what? He wins 90% of his starts. I would say all, but it's kind of a little bit too much. 90% of his starts he wins with a good bullpen. Not a decent bullpen, but a good bullpen. So there's playoff teams for sure. That what I think would push for him, especially playoff teams who have shut down bullpens because they can depend on him. And teams who need lefties, that's key right there. And the next player, probably the biggest name. And I think it's time to move on. And I know there's a lot of people out there who really don't want to hear this name. Say it together, Taylor Ward. Yeah, he has one more year of control with us. But you can get a lot of value out of him right now because the risk you have, what if you keep him and then you decide, you know what, next year we're going to use him as trade bait because next year is his contract year. Here's the issue you have. What if he has a freak injury? What if he doesn't produce the same numbers he did this year? What if he's batting $190 and he's hitting maybe 10 home runs at the trade deadline and he has 50 and he has only 40 to 50 RBIs? Then you just wasted your opportunity to get rid of a valuable piece and return for something a little bit better. I would love to see because they're asking for one, San Diego. I think San Diego would be a perfect choice for him. It's a good ballpark that he hits in. He loves hitting at Petco and the outfield. I mean, it's a little bit short and left, but I mean, who knows? Maybe he switches to DH. That maybe they have different scenarios, but I think that is a good spot for him. And San Diego does have a good amount of prospects, or they know how to develop good players that turn into trade bait. So that is super key. So as of now, I believe those are going to be the top 4. If I was to sneak in a number 5, because might as well do a top 5, kind of a shot in the dark too, but Kyle Hendricks. Yeah, Kyle Hendricks. So right now he's coming around. At this time of the recording, he's coming around a little well, but he could be a good bullpen piece for playoff teams. He's pitched in the World Series. He's played with the Cubs. He knows what the playoff atmosphere is like. Teams are going to look at that. Teams are going to have to consider these players because they have played in playoff atmospheres. Moncada with the White Sox, it was just one postseason, well, 1.5 because he was on the 2020 team, but the 2020 I consider half. I think we all do. Tyler Anderson had that tremendous start, even though it was one start against the Padres in the NLDS in 2022. You can take that in consideration as well. Maybe he's a different monster when it comes to the postseason. Taylor Ward could carry over into the postseason. Yeah, he hasn't played in one, obviously, but maybe he'll flip the switch. Kyle Hendricks has been in the playoffs too, and in the World Series. He knows what the big stage is like. I believe that those are the names that you have to circle to at least get something decent in return. Or maybe we get a steal and some teams think, well, you know what, this kid's not going to fit our system. You guys can have him. You take care of him. Or, you know, this might sound harsh. He's your problem now because maybe he was a problem at that team that he was with before.
Okay, yeah. So you put a lot of stuff out there on the table there. So let's maybe start dissecting it piece by piece. Kyle Hendricks was a guy I hadn't thought about. So he is, at least as a trade candidate. So he's 5-7 with a 4.92 ERA. He does have a lot of playoff experience. He's got a World Series ring. He's been there. He's done that. You know, a lot of people discount certain things. You know, I mean, you had mentioned Tyler Anderson. Sorry, not Justin Anderson. Tyler Anderson. And there's going to be a lot of people who would think to themselves, well, who's going to want Tyler Anderson? You guys have to remember, this is a experienced veteran lefty. This is an innings eater. This is a guy who's been there to that big stage before. Okay, he was a Dodger previously. You mean to tell me you're not going to get a phone call from the Dodgers? Or if you call the Dodgers, hey, you want Tyler Anderson back? The Dodgers would be on it like flies on shit. Why? Because, once again, he's an innings eater. And people don't feel bad for other teams who are going through it, right? The Dodgers are in a skid right now. They're having everyone and their mama getting hurt. You know, your mama might have gotten hurt just because I mentioned their name and the Dodgers in the same sentence. So the point is, there are teams out there who are always desperate this time of year, right? So this is my plea to Perry. Listen to those phone calls and don't get greedy, because that was the issue last year. I mean, from what we've heard, there was multiple phone calls placed for various people that the Angels had, and the asking price was too high. You know, that's what we heard for Anderson. The asking price was just simply too high. So I don't want that mistake to be had with him again if somebody calls, or with Taylor Ward. The point is, Tyler Anderson's walking after this year. Honestly, I don't want him to come back. Why? Because we have other guys. I'd rather put Aldergetty out there, who's a lefty, than Tyler Anderson next year. Hell, this year. So that's what I say. I mean, even just as a salary dump, get 1-2 low-level prospects, see what happens. That's fine. Get rid of Anderson. Let's bring up Aldergetty. Give him a chance. You know, once Clausen's back and healthy again, I mean, I know he had some fatigue issues, so they kind of sat him for a bit. Same with Dana. But, you know, these are guys who I don't mind calling up, giving the opportunity to take their lumps so that they've had some minor league time. Clausen is having a good year. Cool, let's give him a chance if they feel he's ready. Same with Dana. So I would definitely take calls on Anderson. I would get what I could for him. Taylor Ward is going to be the biggest name that we have. I know for a fact that we're going to get some calls for him. Is Perry going to automatically hang up the phone? I'm going to guess yes. I would like to see Ward get traded. I like Taylor Ward. The idea of Taylor Ward, I like. He's one of my favorite players just because he's a Fresno guy. I'm obviously a Central California boy, so I have a soft spot in my heart for that. But I'm also not an idiot. His trade value is super high right now because this is a guy who's leading the team in home runs. He's got, 21 right now, I believe. So, you know, the guy's got some thump. He can potentially, in the right lineup, Vince, maybe you'll call me crazy, I can see him being a 35, potentially flirting with 40 home run type guy in the right lineup, where he has protection, because the issue here has always been he has to be the guy because Ohtani or Trout were hurt. You know, he's protecting guys like Trout in the lineup. If Ward is just a guy in your lineup, not the guy, I can see him being a really good hitter. I can see him being a 260, 270 hitter. I can see him hitting 30 to 37, 38 home runs. Who knows? Maybe he'll have a year where he hits 40. But everything has to go right for him. And you know what? I think Taylor Ward has that potential. Will he ever be a defensive guru? No. But you know what? There's a lot of teams out there who don't need that. Jorge Soler's made a career out of being essentially a DH. He's not a defensive guru by any stretch of the imagination, and he's always had teams interested in him. So my point is, Taylor Ward's value is probably not going to get any higher than it is right now. He's got this year and next year of control. You can probably get 4 to 5 prospects for him. And if we got 4 last year for Luis Garcia, and we got 4 for Carlos Estevez, I'm sure you can get at least that for Taylor Ward, if not a little bit more. I don't think these guys are going to be world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but they will give you an opportunity to contend next year. And perhaps if any of those guys are pitchers, they can be bullpen guys to help you this year. So this trade deadline is going to be so critical. You already mentioned some of the other guys. The only guy that you didn't mention that I would be interested to see gets any phone calls is Rengifo. I understand that he's also been struggling, but you had mentioned Yoan Moncada's versatility. Let's not forget that Luis Rengifo can kind of go anywhere in the infield too, really, except first base. So I would imagine on a contract year, you might get some interest in him, because here's the thing. Every team needs versatile guys. Every team needs Swiss Army guys. Every team needs some guys to go out there and just give, their actual starters some days off. I could see maybe Rengifo going to a team like the Blue Jays. You know what I mean? A team that just needs a little bit of help to get Bochette, maybe get Guerrero off their feet a little bit. Fill in a little bit of some playing time at second base. You need a team kind of like that, like a bubble team that's just getting hot at the right time. But, man, the Angels just don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Make the right trades. And here's the thing. Okay, the biggest name that we mentioned that the team might miss a little bit is Taylor Ward. And the reason for that is because he does have moments where he's clutch. He does have moments where he's driving in runs. And he does have moments where he's one of the better hitters in baseball. Let's call it what it is. But they're just moments. They go for 2-3 games. He gets hot for a little bit, and then he cools off for a little bit. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, right? That's just baseball. It's a game that humbles you, right? Pitchers will adjust. It's your job to adjust. And Taylor Ward normally does come around. But aside from him, Rengifo, Anderson, Moncada, Vince, is there any of those guys that you're really going to cry over, that you're really going to lose sleep over? No. Don't get me wrong. Will I celebrate when and if we trade Taylor Ward? Yes. Will I also be a little sad? Yeah. But baseball's a business. I want to win. And if winning means getting rid of some of those pieces this year so that next year we're competing, and you know what? Even this year we're playing some more we're still playing meaningful games in September. Vince, I can live with it.
Yeah, and there's also another name that I forgot to mention too, probably a wild card. It's Kenley Jensen. I know for sure there's other teams out there who need a shutdown closer. You know what? The hell with it. The Dodgers. I was just going to say that. Yeah. They haven't had a set shutdown closer. They're kind of pulling the 2003 Red Sox right now, where they're having a closer by committee, whereas one closer is solid. Okay, we're going to stick with him for a couple weeks, and which is Tanner Scott, and then he's falling. So therefore Kirby Yates has to take over. Well, Kirby Yates has had some injury prone seasons. And I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be hilarious though if the Dodgers or if Perry calls the Dodgers. This would be hilarious if Perry calls the Dodgers and say, "You want Kenley back?" It's like, seriously, because that's his home, okay? And there's been times where we have seen franchise players who leave teams, basically call it the college years. You could say, it's like, go have your fun. You did your part with our franchise. Go have fun. Go get paid. Go travel a little bit. You want to experience this city? Go for it. That's what Kenley did. And you know what? You get homesick and you come home. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So I would put Kenley Jensen on that list too, because if it's figuratively speaking, the season's lost. Do you really need to have Kenley Jensen in your closer role? No, because he's probably going to barely get some pitching time in. Well, why not put him on a team where he's guaranteed to at least get like four save opportunities per week in a 6-game span. I'd rather have him do that than be with us and you're guaranteed at least 2 save opportunities per week. That's what it looks like right now. Or he's just going to get some work in. Knowing Kenley, he doesn't want to get work in. He wants to win. He wants to go out there and say, look, I'm out here for a save so I can seal the deal and seal the victory for our team. It's just that simple. So, and like you said, Rengifo too. Yeah, we do have the pieces, and I know there's teams that are going to be calling because for sure they're rentals. A lot of them are rentals. They're 1 years, with the exception of Taylor Ward. He has that extra year of control. Jorge Soler could be considered too. He could be a DH bat, but here's the thing. He's also got 1 year of control, and knowing Perry, he probably wants to keep that bat for sure for next season because maybe Trout next year is going to say, you know what, I'm ready to get back in the outfield. I still don't think his knee's 100%. That's why he's still DHing. And now we have to deal with liabilities in the outfield, Taylor Ward and Jorge Soler, and now LaMonte Wade Jr. So LaMonte Wade Jr., I don't think is going to be a trade piece. He's going to be just having some fun out here. It's like, you know what, dude? Like, you want to play? You just want to play? Sure, just stay here. We're not going to let you go. Could it be the same case with other guys? Maybe. Chris Taylor is also that piece too. It's like, you want to just play or do you want to win? Pick your poison. Knowing Chris Taylor, he probably wants to win. So we'll see how that goes. But it's going to be interesting for this week. But like I said at the top of the show, these 2 series are important. It defines where we're going to sit. But I said this off camera to the Halo boys. We have a group chat together, and some of them agree. And so far, one agrees with me, but the rest haven't seen the message yet. I said, regardless of what happens, win 2 series, split series, whatever, right? I still think we sell. So final verdict, yes, we have to sell. It's better to build the foundation and build a future than basically like we have the furniture to sell right now. We have quality furniture to sell. We don't need to buy more furniture right now in this house that we have.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm always just kind of tired of the Angels not doing enough, right? It's always stand pat, stand pat, stand pat. It's like, let's just do it right for once. Because here's the thing. Let's just say the Angels go on this year and just fizzle into irrelevancy, and we end up coming in 4th place. It's another kind of mediocre year. Let's just say it falls apart. All I can say is you're not going to get a lottery pick next year, right? That's just how it works now with the competitive balance rules being what they are. So with that being said, you can't even bank on like, well, hey, at least we get a good draft pick next year, because you don't. So let's just be honest with ourselves. This is not a contending team. It just isn't. There's too much that can go wrong. You're banking on too much breaking in the right direction for you. And this is just a team that, yeah, they're very streaky. And that's what you expect out of young guys. But also, the young guys kind of understand how this works, right? They know it's a business. And at least if Perry goes in there and says, hey, guys, here's what we're going to do during the trade deadline. We're going to focus on really trying to contend next year. You know what? I don't think these guys would take poorly to that. I'm tired of this. Hey, we're going to win. You can take that to the bank. I'm tired of this organization lying and just fibbing, not telling us what it is. I mean, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. That's what this team has been. It's always been the same song. It's always been the same dance. They tell us it's some grand thing. Hey, we're going to contend this year. Hey, Jorge Soler. Hey, this guy. Hey, this guy. Julio Teheran, hey, Trevor Cahill, Matt Harvey. These are the guys we need. They're always trying to pitch us on, hey, this is going to be the guy. And for years, we all fell for it. We were all like, oh, hey, you know what? That is going to be the guy. Hey, Julio Teheran was the opening day starter for a lot of years for the Braves. The Braves are good. Insert this guy here. We've fallen for it. The last 2 years, we've kind of wised up and been like, no, LaMonte Wade Jr. is not the guy. He's not going to help us. And that's no disrespect to him. He's at the major leagues. We never got there. But the point is, like, let's just be honest on what we are. We're sellers, and that is okay. It is okay to be a seller. It is not okay to stand pat. It is not okay to assume that next year is going to be better if we don't change it. You know, Taylor Ward has the ability to make this team better, not necessarily by staying on it, but helping us get a literal handful of guys. You know what? Even if Taylor Ward's going to turn out to be Barry Bonds next year, let's just say he's the best hitter in baseball. Great. The Angels have had the best hitter in baseball. When number 17 was here those last 2-3 years, he was arguably the best hitter in baseball. What good did that do us, Vince? Did we make the playoffs? No. Did we flirt with 500? No. Taylor Ward can make the team better because he's our best trade piece by maybe bringing 2 or 3 guys. Because, hell, if you trade for 5 guys and 2 of those guys hit, turn out to be good major league players, that's going to swing the pendulum more than one guy is. So all this to say, let's call it what it is. The Angels need to sell. Everyone who's listening on this network is going to agree with us. You know what? In fact, let us know in the comments down below. Who do you think the Angels' biggest trade chip is realistically? There's going to be people who are like, oh, Trout, trade Trout. Okay, but realistically, they're not going to do that. So who do you think is our realistic best trade chip? I don't even think Taylor Ward is that realistic, but Vince and I want to see it done because he's maybe Kenley Jansen. One of those 2 guys is going to be our biggest trade chip because, yeah, Kenley Jensen's a rental, but it's also Kenley Jansen, one of the greatest closing pitchers of all time, having a great year for the Angels. So we'll see. We will see, Vince. If you guys are listening to this, remember, we have our trade deadline show, July 31st. Like every single year, we are live for the last 3 hours. You never know who will show up in the Halo universe. So we're going to try to get some fun guests along the way. We certainly want to see you guys there. Vince, anything you have in closing?
Oh, yeah. So Saturday is a special day because, well, first off, last week was special. It was a fun night at the George Strait concert, like I mentioned last week. To see the King of Country was such a blessing. To have floor seats, too. Thanks to 714 Tickets for that. And, yeah, it was great. And I definitely would want to see him again if he does come back to California. It was time of my life, once in a lifetime opportunity, took advantage of it. And yeah, it was great. Number 2, this Saturday is National Day of the Cowboy. So we want to honor all the Cowboys, myself included, whether you lived on a ranch or you just live that cowboy lifestyle. These men have really blessed this country so much. They're hardworking men. And they're respectable men. They love their country just as much as anybody. So shout out to every single one of us. And yeah, this Saturday, which is actually, it's not a specific date. It's the 4th Saturday of July. So I got to give a shout out to the man upstairs with Gene Autry. He is the cowboy. He is the singing cowboy. And he's a symbol of the Angels for sure. And Mr. Number 26 for sure.
Absolutely. Rest easy, big guy, for sure.
Yeah. And last but simply not least, July 30th. Hope to see y'all there for the Right Field Revolution featuring the Halo Boys and myself. And, of course, everybody who's going to be there, wear white. You could wear the Angel cloak. You could wear the Halo. But if you're not comfortable with that, wear a white jersey, white T-shirt, anything white. But let's just have a little fun and just have the players' backs. Let them know that we do support them. And it's going to be a really fun night, July 30th. I cannot wait. I hope to see y'all there. And, I will definitely be making some content for sure. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to make sure to record every single moment, whether it be myself, the Halo Boys, or anybody else around me. Let's enjoy this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We had an episode with the Halo Boys. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, they're doing a lot of good stuff over there. Good group of guys. Love the team. love the mission, the whole wanting to bring some super fandom. Yeah, go out there, have a good time, be rowdy in a fun, respectful way. You know what? It's okay to go to Angel Stadium and make noise. I know it's sacrilegious because you go there and it sounds like you're at church sometimes, but you know what, guys? It's okay to yell when they say "Dayo." It's okay to, to clap when it says "Get loud." But so yeah, I give them a lot of credit for having the courage to go out there. Originally in the outfits, when people were like, "What are those guys doing?" And now obviously it's become a really fun and cool thing. So yeah, make sure you go out there and you have a good time on Saturday. Make sure you thank your local Cowboys, including Vince. But yeah, guys, thank you to everyone. Once again, thanks to the sponsor, 714 Tickets. Use code HITTY at checkout for 10% off. Bruhan mentioned Halos and Infield. The OC Dugout for all they do, all the fun autograph signings they have all the time. And, of course, Max Market Pros. If you have a small business and you are looking to grow your social media presence or really just the business in general, make sure you call Max Market Pros and tell them that Halos and Infield sent you. On behalf of all of us here at Halos in the Infield, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys for the trade deadline show 1 week from today on the 31st. Y'all be good now. You hear?
From Anaheim down to the Texas plains, hot takes flying right and all.